So in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to die giving birth. Like, that's literally what I thought.
How did you feel mentally and physically healing after, going through a C-section?
And the anesthesiologist was like, this happens. It can happen sometimes where, it can numb them, up to their throat, but she can breathe. He's like, I tried to tell them delayed cord clamping, but like something was wrong and like we had to just hurry up. And I was like, okay, like unfortunately, like I had a plan. I recently saw somebody on TikTok post something and they called it the Scaries.
Thank God that I had like a couple mom friends, because I love my best friends to death. But I'm the first one to be a mom. Hey mama, you're doing amazing. I know the challenges of navigating through postpartum life, and I'm here to be a village in a world where the village is often missing. My name is Elo, and I'm your host of the New Mom in Town, the Postpartum Podcast. Today's guest is Justine Monet, a new mom to a 6-month-old baby boy, a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, and a personal friend of mine. New moms, we're both, I think we're like 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
Our babies are 2 weeks apart. We found out a really cool way. I kind of had to tell you that I'm pregnant because I can't do any crazy things that I was doing before.
Yeah. That was fun.
And
that
you're like,
FaceTime.
By the way,
me too.
Don't tell anybody. That was crazy. I love that. I love that so much. We've come so far since then.
Yes.
Because now we're actually whole mothers.
Yeah.
Has it kicked in yet?
I still feel like there's still times where I look at him and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom, or like, I mean, obviously I think as a mom, your life just is so fast paced now that you don't really have time until they're sleeping and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom now. Like,
right.
So there's times where it's still like a little shocking, like this is my human, but it's definitely
I'm in charge of this thing.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day, it's wild. And I just like think about how many times we would like text each other and like, oh my God, is this happening to you? Is this happening to you? And the fact is that we literally went through almost the same birth story.
Yes.
Tell me about your birth story.
So I had to get induced. So I was induced leading up to the week before, my blood pressure was going up. So they monitored me like that entire week just to make sure. It was weird though, because at the doctor's office my blood pressure was high, but then as soon as they would make me go to the hospital, it like was fine. So I don't know if it was just like my anxiety of getting to the doctor's office or what it was leading up to it. So that week, they decided we're gonna have to induce just for like safety reasons. So I actually went in at like 1 a.m.
Wow.
I thought the doctor was kidding. He's like, okay, we'll see you at 1 a.m. But I went in at 1 a.m. We had everything. We had the ball, our medicine ball, everything. Or not the medicine ball. The
peanut ball.
Yes, that. I told Marcus to bring snacks. I had this little light, which I actually use in the baby's nursery now. Like, it's a little light with the Aurora lights.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So we just kind of had everything ready. Got there at 1 a.m. They checked me in, started the medication, and
so they gave you Pitocin?
No, it wasn't Pitocin yet. I don't know what the other one's called. It was something. It was like in a little pill, and you basically put it in your mouth, and it lets it just kind of dissolve in there.
Okay.
So we did that. I don't remember. It was a couple hours after we had checked in, and then my water broke. The next day, though, or actually that day, technically, at like 4 p.m., my water broke.
Wow.
And then from there, it started speeding up. I started getting really, really bad contractions after my water broke. It was like when they said, what's your level from 1 through 10? I was like, I mean, I'm going to say 9 because I'm sure like
it gets worse.
It can get worse, but I'm going to say 9. So that was,
oh man,
that pain is on another level. But I got to a point where I wasn't dilating anymore. So they just kept checking me, seeing if I was dilating. I had Marcus there, and then my mom came as well. And then that night, my mom went home. And it was the next morning now, 6 a.m. They came in to check on me. I hadn't progressed as far as dilating. At that point, I was like, I've had so much medicine in my body now. I don't want to keep putting medicine to affect the baby, to affect me. They kept making me change positions, so it kind of started getting me worried, like, is he okay?
Right.
They're like, we just want you to change positions. We don't like the way the heart's,
and because at this point, your water is broken. And I think you're safe with the water breaking for like 24 hours until intervention has to be.
Yeah. So it wasn't there yet, but I was there for a while. So at that point, I had told Marcus, like, if they come back in and they give me more medicine, I'm going to say no. Like, at this point, he needs to come out. I'm not going to continue to put medicine in my body. Like, it's not good for him. Probably not good for me.
Right.
So they actually came back in and they said the doctor wants to do C-section. So at that point...
Did you have an epidural at that time?
Okay. I did, yeah. So I had an epidural, which... So I don't know if it was just my body or everything, but that the epidural shot actually hurt me. Like, it actually, like, was painful for me to get.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if it was me or...
Like that initial sharp pain or, like...
Yeah, not after. But, like, the initial... Because I thought, like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, get that epidural. You'll be fine, whatever. So when I got the epidural, I, like, literally screamed. Like, I had the nurse... I told the nurse, I was like, can I just grab you? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like... Marcus and my mom were down the hall. I'm like, did you guys hear me? Because I was screaming like I was giving birth. Like, it was so painful. But once it kicked in, it was great. It felt amazing.
Amazing. What a relief.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I can do this now. But, yeah, so when they came back in, they were like, the doctor wants to do a C-section. I was like, okay, when? 30 minutes. So from there, it just like happened so fast. So Marcus is in the bathroom. He came out. I was like, they just gave him the scrubs, like, put these on. We got to go. The anesthesiologist came in, kind of gave me the rundown. This is what we're going to do. And I didn't really have time to process anything because it happened so fast.
And you drugged up.
Yeah, I was already drugged up.
Tired, exhausted. It's a lot.
And I'm assuming it's the medicine, but my mouth was really, really dry.
Mine too.
And they're like, you can't have anything. I'm like, can you give me some ice chips? Like, just something to, like, something to help.
I was doing it.
Yeah.
The nurse would look away, and I'm just drinking. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. The nurse was like, I'll give you some ice chips. So she gave me more, and I'm like, look, like, I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons, but I was like, my mouth is so dry right now. So the anesthesiologist was like, what kind of music do you like? I was like, R&B. So I walked into the room, and they were playing Sade. So I'm like, okay, this is a vibe. So I went in, they prepped me. Marcus wasn't in yet. It was just me. And then so he gave me whatever it is to numb me. And I don't know if it was my nerves or if it really was, but the doctor came in and she, like, pinched my stomach and she's like, do you feel that? I said no because I said yes because I thought I felt it, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. So I was like, yeah, I feel it. And she kind of looked at him like, okay, like, she feels it. She shouldn't feel it. So he gave me a little more, which if this happens to you, do not take a little more. So he gave me a little bit more.
Moms out there.
I'll tell you why right now. So he gave me a little bit more. At this point, I feel it. I mean, I can't feel anything at this point. But then I start feeling this feeling in my throat. And, like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. And so I was telling the
You're getting numb up here now.
Yeah. I was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And he's like, your vitals are fine. Your blood pressure is this. Like, he's reading my vitals. And I'm like, I cannot breathe. On top of it, my mouth is so dry. So I don't know if that also had to do with it. But I was just like, no, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So in my mind at this point, I've never known what it felt like to suffocate. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to die giving birth. Like, that's literally what I thought. And he kept saying, you're fine, you're fine. Marcus wasn't in the room at this point yet. So then I hear them say, oh, let's go get her husband. And I'm like, I'm dying. Like, no, like what do I do? Like, someone, like, there's something needs to happen. I can't breathe. Yeah. So he comes in and I'm like, I can't breathe. And he's telling them like, well, she can't breathe. And they're like, her vitals are fine. Her blood pressure is fine. And the anesthesiologist was like, this happens. It can happen sometimes where, you know, it can numb them, you know, up to their throat, but she can breathe. So then they put the oxygen mask on me. They're like, look, we'll put it on her just so she feels better. I was so dry, I kept taking it off because my mouth was so dry. And I was like, can someone give me ice chips? Throughout all of this, they're cutting me open. So, like, this is all going on as they're cutting me open. I don't even remember feeling a thing. I just remember the baby crying. And then I'm like, okay, so he's out. And
that's wild.
Yeah, so I felt nothing, didn't know what was going on. I was concentrating on trying to breathe.
Wow, you were so busy talking about that they were literally cutting you open already.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So it was a lot going on. I just remember trying to breathe, and then the R&B music. He either came out to Pony or one of Usher's songs.
Wait, that's hilarious.
I know, but I remember those songs playing. It was Sade when I walked in, and then there was Genuine Pony, and then it was Usher, You Make Me Wanna.
Oh my gosh.
So he came out to one of those songs. So then at that point, Marcus goes, cuts the umbilical cord, all that. And one thing that I don't know, I mean, I wasn't paying attention at all, clearly. But we had wanted to do a delayed cord clamping. And because of everything going on, I told Marcus, it's your job because I'm not going to know what's going on. He's like, I tried to tell them delayed cord clamping, but like something was wrong and like we had to just hurry up. And I was like, okay, like unfortunately, like I had a plan, like this is what I wanted to do. And none of that happened.
I know.
So that, you know, that was at the time, I was like, you know, whatever, to get the baby out, you know, healthy, and as long as he's okay. Then they bring the baby to me. At this point, I still can't breathe. So I was not even
this
like...
girl's so numb.
I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I was just like, no. Like, I was like, I can't right now. I can't. And Marcus brings the baby to me, and I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, let me just try to breathe. So then the anesthesiologist tells me, which kind of helped. He was like, look, this only lasts 15 minutes. So I'm like, in my mind, okay, it had to have been 10 minutes already. So I just have to try to get through 5 more minutes of suffocating.
Oh my gosh.
So I was just sitting there, and I tried to calm myself down because I'm like, I knew I was breathing hard. Like, okay, I can't breathe. So I'm like, okay, let me just sit here. And it's so like, to think back at it, I literally thought like, if you were actually drowning or suffocating, there's nothing you can do. So I'm like, let me just lay here and just be like, this is happening and there's nothing I can do. But I felt a little better once he said that, because I'm like, okay, I got like 5 more minutes left. But while it was all happening, I literally thought, oh my gosh, I'm about to, like, my son's gonna be like, my mom died giving birth to me, you know, like that's was like wild. My fear.
Yeah,
like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. Then it started. Finally, I could catch my breath. It did last about 15 minutes. And I just kept saying, I need ice chips. And they were like, we can't give you any right now. We can't wait. And I was like, no, like I need ice chips. So finally I went to the recovery room. They gave me my ice chips. I just remember looking up and I see Marcus and the baby just sitting there. And I'm like, yeah, okay, now I have a kid. Like it just happened like that. And then they're just now trying to get all my vitals good, make sure I'm fine. And then they give me the baby. They latch him on to me.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, it just
Did you see colostrum come out?
Yes.
Because I remember I just like woke up and there's just like a child on me. And I was like, there's no milk.
Yeah,
she's like, yeah, look, first, she squeezed. I was like, holy moly.
It happened so fast because she squeezed
God
first.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
That was so crazy to me.
She squeezed and she was like, let me just check. And she's like, oh yeah, you're good. Throw them on. And I was like, whoa, like he
I'll
just
never
came
get over that.
Mm-hmm. So he latched on, and then that and then I had a kid. It was just crazy. I was like, wow, like all of this happened in a span like 15 minutes.
Crazy.
Like,
but it took you feel like it was forever.
Oh yeah.
Because I felt like when it finally came down to that I had to go in for the C-section, that it took 18 hours of unmedicated labor for me. Yeah. But once we're like, okay, it is what it is, I cried it out and we're like, we got to do it. We got to do what you got to do. I was in there shaking, like I could not be still.
Oh, coming out, yes.
I had the shakies in it. Like Nick literally had to like hold my arms and they had to put like warm blankets on me because I just was shaking. And I think it has to do with like the medication, your nerves, you haven't eaten, you haven't drinking anything. Like it's just wildness going on.
I couldn't control, coming out of it, I couldn't control my shakes. Like it was just like.
I was in there.
I was fine going in. It was coming out. I could not. And they said, I mean, coming out, I guess it probably is because of the medication. Obviously, your body adjusting to what just happened to you.
Right.
But I couldn't.
Yeah, coming out, I was shaking too, actually. And the whole, when she checked your tummy, whether to see, I get that because for me, I was numb only on the right side, not on the left, because before we went in for the C-section, we were doing these exercises to see if I can get my cervix more open. Doing that, I had to be on one side and then 10 minutes on the other. So everything kind of moved to only the right side and not
yeah.
the left. So they had to give me more. But in my head, because I know that I'm about to get cut open, I told them, I'm still feeling it because I wanted more, just in case. Yeah, because it's scary. It's scary to think about that. It's wild.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to feel anything, but then I'm like, I shouldn't have said that for me.
I feel you, same. Even like when they wanted to, because they give you Pitocin after birth.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't, like whatever you need to give me, I know I'm like whacked out right now, but don't give it to me until the baby's out. Like I want less things, so I get you.
Yeah.
It's rough. I just remember that, shout out to my doctor, Shavira. He's amazing, Dr. Shavira. But I remember the last thing I said, because then Nick was able to, like, he goes and he has the baby. So that's another thing for me mentally, kind of like being okay with that. The fact that I'm not doing the first baby thing, even though they bring the baby to me and I saw him first, but like the dad got to do all those things. And when you wake up in recovery and you just see them together, my heart melted. I loved it. But then it also kind of broke because I'm over here like, coming out of surgery and I wasn't able to be that person for my son. So I think that mentally messed with me for a long time. How did you feel mentally and physically healing after, going through a C-section, going through all these things that you ended up not, basically wanting? You were going for a natural birth, whether it was medicated or unmedicated. So
I think after, for one, physically, I mean, it's literally like having a tummy tuck. And if you think about women who have tummy tucks, they are bedridden for days. Weeks probably.
I told my doctor, I was like, hey, since you're already down there, can you do a tummy tuck? He just laughed like, no, it's not the same.
It's different.
But yeah, I get you. Sorry to interrupt you.
But no, exactly. And it's like,
wild.
Women are usually bedridden for days, if not weeks, for recovery. And in this case, they cut you open, sew you back together, and they're like, now you have a responsibility, like within 24 hours.
Yep.
So I think physically it was a lot. I mean, I'm, fortunately, I'm happy and, blessed to have, like, my husband that was able to take care of me, because I don't know how, like, I would have been able to do, like, I mean, he literally had to shower me. Like, it was, he had to take care of both of us for, like, the beginning.
I couldn't even take off my diapers.
Yeah, he had to change me.
I could do that.
He was changing both of our diapers. So, like, that's
wild.
That, I didn't expect that. And the thing is...
Shout out to those dads and husbands. So just, thank you guys.
Because that's tough. And I don't think I wasn't expecting that for it to be that hard. I thought, like, okay, obviously I'm going to be in pain, I'm sure. I'll whatever, but I'll be able to take care of a kid and all that. But no, it was a lot, even getting like up from bed and picking him up, like it was.
I hated that so much.
It was a lot. Getting up from bed, I was like then I was scared, like, what if it opens up?
That's all I'm thinking about.
I'm like, what if it opens up? What if something happens? So the physical part was definitely a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And mentally, like, you always, I mean, you only hear about postpartum depression. You don't really hear about anything else, like the in-betweens. And I think postpartum in general, because even the physical part, I don't feel like anyone has ever told me, like, with the C-section. You hear people that have had C-sections just say, like, yeah, I had a C-section, whatever. They don't really tell you what happens, how you're feeling after. So
they don't also tell you that you also bleed. So a lot of people are like, oh, at least you don't have the bleeding going on. Like, yeah, of course we have the bleeding going on, because even though you're getting a C-section, the placenta is still being ripped away from your uterus, and that's why women bleed. It's not because of the vaginal birth per se. So yeah, we also have bleeding down there, and we have our incision. So it's like double. So yeah, that's why we also had diapers. So there's any mom out there that,
get your diapers.
Get your diapers and be ready. Oh, another thing I feel like before we continue, any mom, because I feel like I got so into like having my little caddy ready for like postpartum, my pads, my this, my that, but I did never in my life thought, let me get some stuff for C-section in case I go in for a C-section. So if you're getting ready for birth, just have a couple things that you may need for postpartum if you end up with a C-section.
Yeah, because that I didn't.
I didn't. Like, I had nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily Amazon Prime. You know, I just had to, literally while we were in the hospital, I was like, I need to order this. Yeah. Because I don't have this at home. So that is definitely something. I mean, I still have the stuff I thought I needed for
Me too.
a natural birth.
Yeah, I have it all put together to like donate to moms. Because I didn't need any of that stuff.
So that is one thing I for sure would say is just kind of prepare for both, even if it's just having a couple, because you don't know, and just to hold you over until you do get it. Because there was a lot of things that no one really shared, so I didn't know how I was going to feel after with the C-section. And then mentally, I think I wasn't sure. Like, I recently saw somebody on TikTok post something, and they called it the Scaries, and it was at night.
Did you have the night scaries?
Yes, and I didn't know, and I literally thought, like, oh my gosh, is this just me? But every time the sun would go down, I got major anxiety, and I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta make it through the night. Like, you know, like, I gotta.
And I felt like the nights were the easiest at that time.
Yeah.
But in my heart, like, I was like, it's dark.
Yeah.
Sun's going down, and it's winter time for us. Yeah. It's winter time, the sun's going down faster. So it's the night scary. So any mom out there, if you feel this, it's totally normal. You are not alone, and it's so normal to feel the night scaries. They don't last.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't
but
last.
They definitely, not knowing that though, was, it would really scare me, like, at night. Like, I can't tell you how excited I got when the sun would come up. Like, oh my gosh, we survived. Like, we made it through the night.
Yes.
So that was something that was hard for me. And I think emotionally, like, for one, yes, you are very emotional without even, I mean, I cried at everything. I mean, I did that during pregnancy towards the end too, but, like, I feel like I would get so frustrated sometimes, like, even with my dogs. Like, I would just start crying. Like, oh my gosh, go outside. And, like, I just start crying. Like, it was just, like, the smallest things, or, like, and I couldn't control it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't control
I'm a wreck.
Yeah. Like, I would try to, like, I mean, I can't even tell you the things I cried over, and I was just like, I don't know why I'm crying.
I believe
I'm crying right now. And then just constant fear. I mean, I don't know if it's just, I mean, I hear people say after your first, it gets, you know, the second one's like, you leave them there and you're like, they're fine. Right. But, like, everything, I was so scared of. I mean, I still am, but now that he's older, it's not the same.
It's almost
like
squishable.
Yeah. Like, the newborn phase was terrifying. So when I hear mom say, oh, I love the newborn phase, it was my favorite, I'm like, no. Like, it was not my favorite. It was the scariest for me. Just trying to, like, for one, learn how to be a mom. Two, it's, like, a new life.
And you're still healing.
Yeah, and you're still
mentally
healing.
And physically.
Yes. And
just all of these things.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, that's the number one thing that I feel like when I meet new moms, something that, thank God that I had, like, a couple mom friends, because I love my best friends to death. But I'm the first one to be a mom. Oh, so tough. They were not, they could be the best things ever, and it was not what I needed. I need, like, a mom friend. And a mom friend that I had, there was 3 of them, and they helped me so much, because I thought, right away, I'm crying and feeling this type of way. I thought, oh my God, I have postpartum depression. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna be on pills. Like, I don't know anything. And then, like, they had to tell me, like, no, it's totally normal. So now I let other moms know, and that's why I wanted to do this podcast. Yeah. So moms that don't have a village, that don't have mom friends per se, know that it's okay if you feel like crying every day. My shower crying was the best crying ever. Yeah. I felt like I was in a music video, crying my eyes out. And it's normal. Yeah. It's like, it's not just your hormones shifting, but it's kind of like realizing that your whole life has changed. Yes. And it's not that I'm saying it's a negative. No, but it's changed drastically. Yeah. What has helped you to kind of overcome that? Like, how do you feel now, 6 months into this healing process, motherhood? How do you feel now, and how have you coped?
It's a lot better now. At that time, during, I guess, the newborn phase, I thought, oh my gosh, like, is this never gonna end? Like, how do people do this?
Right.
Because that was that was very difficult. And I thought myself, just like you, like, oh my gosh, am I having postpartum depression? Because I don't know about these things.
Right.
No one really talks about it. All you hear is postpartum depression, but you hear the like stories that are like to the extreme.
Right.
You don't hear about like, this is how you can feel after.
Exactly.
Emotionally, physically, all of that. And I think at that time, I was just really scared because I was like, how am I supposed to... First of all, I have to get it together because I have to take care of a human.
Right.
Like, I can't just be, like, a mess, like, crying. I mean, there's times we probably cried together. But, like, you know, I have to get myself together and take care of a human. Still, you know, be a wife, be a mom, you know, be a business owner. And it was very difficult. And now, though, I feel like it definitely has got easier.
Okay, good.
There's no more scaries.
There you
so
go.
That's great. I actually look forward to the nighttime because I can sleep.
There you go. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel, mommies.
Definitely. And this is only 6 months in, so I know it'll get easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a routine now. Obviously, there's still things that, you know, there's still babies.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's not going to stick to it. But, you know, it's nice to, you know, be able to just at night not be so scared, not be stressed about it. You know, the morning we wake up, we have our little routine we try to stick to. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, kind of just got to wing it. But I think what's helped me is just, honestly, what's helped me the most is looking back and saying, like, telling myself, like, remember you thought that that was never going to end, and look, it did. So I think now, like...
Round of applause for that.
Just, like, you know, knowing that, like, it's going to get better. It's not going to be like this forever. And the fact that it has gotten better. And, you know, luckily, like, I do have, you know, family here that's able to help. And it's really true when they say it takes a village. Because it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. My mom, you know, comes over when she can, which is... at least once or twice a week. Or if I need her for anything, she comes with me to his doctor's appointments if I need. So that's definitely helped a lot, just having a support system like that. Also, like you mentioned, having, you know, your mom friends. I mean, I text you all the time, like, hey, is this happening to you? Or, hey, what do you think about this? You know, things like that. And then also having my friends that have been moms who have gone through this process, you know, give me their, you know, insight on things, or, you know, little tips that they could recommend. TikTok. I've probably looked at TikTok has been my Google. I like look up, you know, hey, my baby's doing this, like, you know, just to kind of, you know, see what other moms are saying. So yeah, I think what's helped me the most is knowing it did get better.
It did get better. I feel like so much is talked about birthing, and so much is talked about pregnancy. Yeah. And then there's just postpartum depression.
And that's it.
Yeah. And even though we took birthing classes and they tell you like you're going to be breastfeeding every 2 hours for like the first 6 weeks and all these things that you're learning, but really when it came down to it, you forget about everything because
definitely.
But also we have kind of like the instincts that come to us. Yeah. But besides that, nobody talks about the fact that breastfeeding is so painful, and breastfeeding doesn't just out of the blue now we can just have all this milk for our baby.
Yeah.
Like I literally thought I was going to have a freezer full of milk. I had all my pumps ready.
Yes, I had. Not only that, I told Marcus, maybe we should order another freezer for the garage because I'm gonna need it. No, I'd be lucky if I can like fill up a cabinet or a little drawer in our freezer. So yeah, that was an issue too. I was an undersupplier. I am an undersupplier. So I was able to feed. I mean, also with breastfeeding, you don't know how much they're eating. Yeah. So like, and sometimes they just suck because just, you know, like how some babies suck on pacifiers. So I can't tell how much he's getting unless I was pumping. And even with pumping, I'm like, okay, this will be good for the next feed. But then what if he gets hungry after that?
Right.
Or, you know, so that's definitely something that I wasn't prepared for because I would see all these girls post their videos about, oh, I have all this milk and all this, and I'm like,
all these ounces.
Yeah, like, and their freezer full and all, and I'm like, okay, that's what I'm gonna have to go through, and no, it was not what I had to go through at all. So we did get donated breast milk, which I'm so happy that you told us about that, because that helped so much. So I was able to produce what I produced. You know, I would give him that, breastfeed him or pumped, and then when I needed extra, we would use the donated milk. And then we recently put him on like a formula too. His stomach is very sensitive, so we did have to like try a couple just to kind of see. And I think that's something else too. Like they're new, like they're being introduced to, you know, something new. So it's scary too, not knowing. Like I feel like in general, like the first couple months with everything, or even, well, especially with the formula when we did add that on, like knowing, like I'd call the pediatrician, hey, is this okay? Like, okay, should I try a different one? Should I, you know, like it was just not knowing with that. Yeah.
So personally, I didn't want to give my baby any medication, but the one thing that I would say definitely have at home would be the prebiotics.
Oh yes,
probiotics.
The probiotics.
Have the probiotics.
The what do they call it? Geo something. It's white and yellow.
Yeah, yes. Are the ones the Gaia. Is it Gaia?
Something. I know.
I'll link it. Definitely have that, and I think the gripe water also helped.
Yes.
Once he got older, I felt more comfortable giving him that.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, we had donated breast milk, so I wasn't sure exactly how he's gonna even be with that.
Yeah.
I've tried three different mamas at this point of breast milk. Which one of them, she was an oversupplier, and she actually had that freezer in her garage. It was amazing. Yeah, that's what we wanted, you know. So it's like, at least we're kind of living vicariously through her. But so one of them, he couldn't handle. His stomach could not handle at all. So it's good to have, as a new mom, have the prebiotics or probiotics and have some gripe water.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the probiotics definitely came in handy.
Yeah.
Because that was something that, you know, his stomach, like I said, is just very sensitive. So that helped a lot. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, it's the white and the yellow packaging.
Yeah, it's from Sweden.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And another thing, I do want to encourage other mamas that it's okay if you don't make enough breast milk.
Yes.
And it's okay if you end up giving your baby formula. There's no right or wrong. It's about, is your baby fed? Is your baby happy?
Yes.
Is your baby using the restroom or going in the diaper? And it's also like, at the end of the day, the mom's mental health and physical health. Like, there's so much stress on us already that we're thinking like, I'm not making enough milk. Now we're stressed out and now we can't make more milk. So it's just like, it's okay. These things happen, and I'm glad that we had each other to talk about these things, because I didn't feel so alone.
Yeah.
Because I saw everybody else is doing just fine, you know. So it seems, you know, nobody really talks about it until you start talking about it, and everybody else is like, "Wait, me too," or, you know. So there's a lot that goes into motherhood, but
for sure,
I think it's good to know that it's okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of moms, just like myself, like, you have a plan, and you even after the baby's here, you're like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna raise my kid, this is what I'm gonna allow, what I'm not gonna allow. But when that baby is now here and you're a mom, you are gonna do what is best for you and that baby, and that's just what it is. Like, you can't think about, oh well, this book said I should do this, or this book said I should do that. It's really what works best for you guys. And obviously, you know, there are certain things that you can stick to, but when you're in that moment, your only concern is making sure your baby's fine. So
absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
So, and another thing is, for motherhood, in general, I think parenthood, but especially motherhood, like you said, we have plans, and we want to have a routine, or we're in control. It's to surrender.
You cannot control anything.
Yeah. You just got to learn to surrender, and just know that it's okay to surrender.
Yes.
It's totally fine.
Yes, 100%.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. So Marcus is turning 6 months.
Yes.
And Marcus is a freaking author already.
He is.
Tell us about that.
Author. So we wanted something, you know, for one, we wanted something fun to do for ourselves. So we were like, what can we do but include him in it? And at the time, my husband actually was like, let's write him a book. Let's have him write a book, like a kid's book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, like, what are we going to write about it? So the first book during this time was with some West Coast drama with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And we were like, you know, this is going to go down in history some way, but let's try to find the kids' version of it. So we, obviously, by the title, you can tell which side I'm on, so I apologize to the other side. But West Coast Kenny saves hip hop.
Wait, West Side.
West Side Kenny saves hip hop. And this story is basically about, obviously it's not Drake's character that's in here. It's a hip hop artist and then a Canadian mountaineer. So the book, it's, you know, just kind of like the kids version of it. We don't use their names.
I love it.
And it was just something fun. We were like, you know, let's do this for that. And now we have his second book coming out, which is more of a kid's book. This is about him and his dog brothers. It's called My Brothers Go Woof Woof.
Oh, that's so adorable.
So going forward, all his books will be about kid stuff. This one was more just like, you know, it was just more of like a funny opportunity for us to do.
I think it's great.
Yeah, so with his books, what we're doing is we're putting everything he makes from his books is going to a savings account. So, you know, then as he gets older and he understands, you know, maybe like at 5 years old, you know, letting him be a part of that and like, what do you want to write about? Mm-hmm. And we want to continue these books and let him, you know, write his own little books, or at least give us a topic and we help him write it, and, you know, give him something to look back on with that. Mm-hmm. I also want to, you know, with the savings account that we have for him, I want him to see like, yes, we put money in there for you too, but, you know, it was work.
Of course. And,
you know, this is what it is. You know, we made your books, we marketed your books, we did this, and like kind of teach him that side of it. I know, like, my mom tells me I'm crazy when I'm like, he'll be working at this age and whatever, but I'm like, I'm just trying to teach him little things, you know, here and there. It's just natural for me, so it's like, let me just teach him little stuff here and there, and I just think
there's nothing wrong with that.
It's a fun idea with the kids' books. I never thought about writing kids' books, though, but I was like, oh, okay, let's do this now that we have a kid.
Yeah.
So his
I love
new
that.
book is out. My Brothers Go
That's
Woof Woof.
Amazing.
The sequel's already in
And where can we
progress.
find it?
Amazon. They're both available on Amazon. We're gonna keep this going for him. So
awesome. I love that so much. Well, with closing this episode up, what parenting advice or mom tip or hack or anything do you have that you would love to give to a new mom or a new mom to be?
There's so many, to be honest. I feel like every topic I can give a new tip or hack that I probably found online or learned from another mom. One I would say that comes to my mom is, if your mother lives in the same area as you, always have your mom for emergencies. My mom is my go-to with so many things. We're traveling internationally with the baby in a month. And my mom's coming with us, which I'm so thankful for. But just having a support system, and also I think the biggest thing I would say, because even myself, I thought I can do this on my own. I mean, obviously, with my husband, but like I was like, we can do this. We're gonna go home after, we have the baby, and we can do this just us.
Right.
We don't need to call anyone. We don't need to do that. I really genuinely thought we'll be fine. But I can't tell you, once we were home, like I wanted that help. So just knowing it's okay to ask for help. If you have the help available, it's okay to ask for it. Take it, because you are going to need it. Even you don't understand how much 15 minutes of just babysitting, can help you at the time. So I would say my biggest tip is, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes, I love that.
Take it.
Take it, yeah.
Take it.
Don't be shy.
Yes. But that, and I feel like there's so many different little tips on everything, but that would probably be my biggest thing.
A good one. What would you tell your 2 to 4 week in the trenches postpartum self now?
That I would say it's going to be okay. Because in that moment, you think it's not. You think your world's going to end. You don't know how you're going to continue. It's a very difficult place. And it's okay to feel that you're in a dark place. Don't assume that you're going through postpartum depression. know that it's okay and that it will be fine. If you're planning on having more kids after this, I mean, like, I'm gonna record myself saying it just so I can go back
and you're gonna have this postpartum podcast now.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to watch this again, and just tell you, just know that it's okay, because now I feel so much better, and even it's gonna continue to get better from here. So I think just knowing that it's okay and that you're not gonna be in that place forever. The scaries go away. You're gonna enjoy the nighttime. Yeah, just know that you'll be fine. You'll make it. You'll be okay.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
Thanks for taking time out.
Yes.
And I know in the background, you guys are probably hearing the babies, but
They're
the babies
here.
are here too, because this is postpartum.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me today and being part of this conversation. If you found this episode helpful or inspiring, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Your support truly helps other mamas find us. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and become part of our village so you never miss a new episode. We're all in this together. Until next time, mamas, take care and bye for now.